A family is vacationing on their yacht in the Caribbean. Mother Julia jumps into the water for a swim. While relaxing, she feels something strange. But because she can't see anything around her, she thinks it might be hallucinations. A few seconds later, the same strange feeling recurs. This time, she can't see anything. But now, she panics and starts swimming toward the yacht. Suddenly, someone pulls her leg, and she screams for help. Her daughter, Cassie, is listening to music on headphones, so she can't hear anything. Husband Tom and son Ben are busy fishing. Julia tries to stay above water, but the water in her mouth makes it difficult to scream. After a while, Tom realizes he hasn't seen Julia in a while. He searches for her on the yacht and then sees his wife in danger. He calls the children. He takes Yud to the other side and jumps into the water. He quickly reaches Julia, catches her, and swims towards Yud. The children pull them both up. The family takes care of Julia, but Julia convinces herself that it might have been because of the waves. That night, everyone celebrates Ben's birthday together. Cassie gets a call from her boyfriend, so she takes her laptop and goes outside. In a video call, her boyfriend shows that huge dark clouds have gathered over the city. The call glitches and freezes. Cassie goes to tell the family about this. But Tom says that perhaps the signal is weak because they are far from land. Just then, everyone hears a sound. They all go outside and see a school of whales passing by. Tom explains that whales always follow the Earth's magnetic field. But when a storm hits, they become confused. Suddenly, the yard shakes violently, and Ben falls overboard. Tom worries about damage to the yard, so he dives to check. A short while later, he returns to the surface with a large wound on his shoulder. Julia immediately stitches the wound. Tom explains that underwater, he felt as if a large creature was chasing him. But when he looked back, he saw a cut from the propeller. He says that whatever it was very large. Tom sees extensive damage to the yard, so they have to call for help. Julia repeatedly tries to radio. Cassie tries to find a signal on her phone, but nothing works. Then Cassie sees a strange creature and screams. But it's just Ben, wearing a mask and playing a prank. After a while, the yacht stops completely and becomes stranded in the middle of the ocean. Julia hears a voice on the radio, but the voice is so distorted that she can't understand anything. Tom tells the family that they only have 4 days of food and water left and that they must wait for a fishing boat. Suddenly, something is detected on the radar, and the family hears a strange sound. Everyone rushes outside and, astonished, sees numerous meteorites falling to the ground. Wherever the meteorites fall, there are loud explosions. When a meteorite lands near them in the water, Tom immediately tries to start the yacht. The engine barely runs, but then another meteorite hits the area. The family clings tightly to each other in fear. Then Tom realizes that the fireballs falling aren't meteorites, but satellites. At that moment, Ben sees smoke coming from the yard. Tom checks and confirms that the engine has failed. As the wind begins to pick up, the family hides inside the yard. Without noticing that the compass is spinning too fast, the yard begins to shake violently. Ben falls again, this time hurting himself. Waves are crashing against the yard. Tom struggles out and retrieves life jackets. Just then, the power goes out. Tom immediately presses the power box button, and the lights come back on. Ben notices Julia's nose is bleeding. Julia begins to feel dizzy, while Cassie goes to the sink and vomits. Tom keeps trying the radio but can't find a signal. Suddenly, a loud, high-pitched noise erupts, and the wind becomes even stronger. Julia tries to close the doors, but a hatch opens, and the wind begins to break the windows. Tom lights a flare, and a short while later, darkness falls. The next morning, the family wakes up in shock, convinced they've survived the storm. But the yacht is half destroyed. When they emerge, they see the seawater has disappeared, and the yacht is now stuck on the ground. Everyone is shocked. Cassie checks the signal, but the network is completely down. Bun starts playing with 2 dead crabs. Tom checks the compass and sees that it's turned upside down. This last happened 700,000 years ago. Cassie thinks her boyfriend must be dead and breaks down. When Julia comes to console her, Cassie pushes her away and goes into hiding. Julia and Tom look for remaining supplies. Ben ties his birthday balloons to a rock in case any remaining survivors find them. Tom tries the radio again, this time connecting with a man. His name is Now, and he's a submarine captain. His submarine is also stranded on land. He confirms that the magnetic poles are reversed. The ocean has retreated and the land is submerged. He says he hasn't seen any more survivors yet, and the communication systems are completely down. Majid also says the poles will reverse again, and the sea will probably recede within a week. He warns the family to get as high as possible because it will be very dangerous when the water returns. He says his partner died in the crash, and the submarine only has room for 3 people. Julia and Tom ask him to please save their children. He gives them his coordinates. Tom calculates it will take 2 or 3 days to reach the submarine. He tells the family to rest well tonight. They'll leave tomorrow morning. The next morning, the family is packing when Tom sees something moving nearby. He is a lame man with a harpoon in his hand and a dog barking incessantly. Tom approaches him and offers him a bottle of water. But the man speaks in a language Tom cannot understand. After drinking the water, the stranger suddenly smashes the bottle over Tom's head and kicks him hard in the face. Julia runs away in fear, but it is too late. The man has already thrust the harpoon into Tom's stomach. Tom struggles for a few moments, then the man cuts his neck. Then the man runs after Julia and throws the harpoon at her, injuring her shoulder. Julia, enduring the pain, runs inside the yacht and tells the children to hide. She locks the door. Cassie and Ben hide under the sofa. Julia hands them a flare gun and takes a knife and hides in the bathroom. The man bangs on the door and finally gets in. First, he picks up some food and then starts rummaging around in the yard. Then he heads for the bathroom. But Julia discreetly escapes through a small hole. The man thinks Julia has run away. But as she slowly leaves, his dog spots her and starts barking. The dog lunges at her, so Julia kills it with a knife. Hearing the dog scream, the man comes out and becomes enraged at the sight of his dog's corpse. Meanwhile, Julia tries to get in from the other side of the yard. She climbs up and tries to break in through the broken window. But the man has already reached there. He catches her and punches her hard, causing her to fall down. Julia tries to escape by grabbing onto furniture. But the man kicks her and throws her away. Then he steps on her wrist, forcing her to drop the knife. Then, grabbing her by the hair, he slams her face into the ground, throws her onto the couch, and begins choking her. The children witness all this. Cassie rushes out and fires a flare gun, which hits the man. He catches fire, setting the yacht ablaze. The children immediately flee. But Julia returns, kicks him, knocks him out. She picks up the map and bag and runs away. Ben and Cassie go to their father and start crying. Julia sits with them, and the 3 of them tearfully say their final goodbyes to Tom. Just then, the scary man emerges from the yacht again, and the family begins to flee. Moments later, the yacht explodes with a loud explosion. After walking a short distance, they stop near a small waterfall to rest. Cassie thinks that perhaps the crazy man came to them after seeing the balloons. Hearing this, Ben begins to feel guilty. Julia explains that it wasn't his fault and tells everyone to move on because the man is still after them. On the way, Ben is surprised to see a dead hammerhead shark near a small pond. Then Julia notices that the man is about to approach them again. Everyone runs and falls down a sand dune, where they see toxic waste. The family carefully crosses it and thinks they have escaped the man. As they walk, they see large dead sea animals and all the plastic accumulated at the bottom of the sea. Ben begins to walk slowly, and Julia realizes that he is close to dehydration. She tells everyone to stop. When she sees the water bottle, she's shocked. The water in the bottle is almost gone. Cassie realizes she probably didn't close it properly. Julia angrily yells that the water ran out because of her carelessness. Cassie replies, "What difference does it make? We're not going to survive anyway." They have a long argument. Nevertheless, the family continues on. Sometime later, they find a crashed plane. Everyone is frightened to see something moving inside. But it turns out to be just some birds. The family decides to spend the night inside the plane. They share a snack, and Julia finds a family photo in Tom's jacket. Seeing it breaks her heart. Cassie asks, "Mom, what was your and Dad's love story? Julia smiles and explains, Tom was my patient at the hospital. Then, one day, he confessed his love to her with flowers and a sweet poem. In the middle of the night, Cassie steps off the plane. Just then, the creepy man tries to grab her from behind. But Julia suddenly attacks him from behind and stabs him repeatedly, killing him. Cassie comforts her mother with a hug. The next morning, the man's corpse is covered in insects. The family notices numerous bite marks on his body, suggesting a dangerous creature is lurking in the area. As they leave, crabs emerge from his mouth. A few hours later, Julia and Cassie are looking at a map. But Ben slowly walks past. Julia yells, "Stop!" But Ben leans into a pond and starts drinking. Julia immediately pulls him out and explains that unfamiliar water could make him sick. The sun becomes too strong, so the family covers their heads with clothes. Ben begins to feel dizzy. Then they find some old chairs, and Julia and Cassie make a temporary shelter out of them. Julia gives Ben an injection and decides they will spend the night there. In the morning, Julia wakes up to a strange sound. She looks outside and sees a large group of crabs coming towards them. She immediately picks up the children, and the three start running. As they run, they spot a large cargo ship. 3 crew members are alive there. A woman wants to help them, but the other 2 men refuse, leaving the 3 families outside and locking the container. Crabs approach. Julia leads the children to climb onto the container. When she tries to climb herself, crabs bite her leg hard. The children pull her up, otherwise she would fall. Half the crabs enter through a hole in the container. The crew members open fire, but the crabs overpower them and kill both of them. The last man reaches the hole in the roof, but crabs pull him down, killing him too. Julia bandages her wound and falls unconscious. A little while later, when she wakes up, she finds herself alone in a sandstorm. She panics and starts looking for her children. She picks up a dead woman's weapon and screams loudly. Cassie hears her voice and returns, explaining that she and Ben went looking for help but found none. They then meet Ben, who finds an open container where they can stay until the storm passes. Julia takes Tom's lighter and cauterizes her wound, which is extremely painful. After the storm subsides, they find another container containing several water bottles. While checking the bodies, they also find a radio and a gun. Julia contacts Now and informs them that the map is lost. Now explains that they were attacked by arthropods. They are now its creatures, completely paranoid due to lack of oxygen. The boat tells the family to hurry because its instruments have calculated that the sea will return sooner than expected, and they only have a few hours left. It fires a flare, and the family begins walking in that direction. After a long walk, the family finds a broken toilet, in which Ben urinates. They finally see the submarine nearby. But to get there, they must cross a large rocky path. As they cross the path, the walls begin to shake, and stones fall, causing a terrifying rock slide. Julia immediately pushes her children aside and steps back herself to avoid being crushed. Now, a stone wall stands between them. Julia tells the children to proceed without her. But Cassie refuses, insisting that her mother should try to climb. After much arguing and shouting, Julia promises to find her children later. Forced to do so, Cassie drags her brother along. The children climb the rocky path and run toward the submarine. But upon reaching the boat, they find it lying outside, covered in blood. He explains that it's all over for him and the children can take the submarine now. Thinking there'll be extra space, Cassie runs back to find her mother. Just then, Julia sees crabs approaching and opens fire. She kills some of them, but the swarm is too large, making it difficult to fight them all. Just then, Cassie appears on top of the wall and extends her hand, and Julia, despite her injured leg, begins to climb quickly. With Cassie's help, she reaches the other side, and together they run towards the submarine. Ben is already standing on top and opens fire to distract the crabs while the family climbs aboard. As soon as the crabs reach the boat's hull, they immediately begin eating it. Julia picks up the gun and continues firing until the children get inside. When they are safe, Julia realizes she's out of bullets. She throws the gun at the crabs and climbs inside with her children. The family locks the hatch securely and watches the crabs surround the submarine through the window. Just then, the sea returns, so the three quickly sit in their seats, buckle up, and hold each other's hands. The strong waves begin to sway the submarine violently. Julia begins to see visions of the entire journey, and Cassie vomits. Soon, the high-pitched sound returns, and the family faints. After a while, Julia and the children regain consciousness and are delighted to find themselves alive. They unlock the hatch and climb out to find the waves have crashed the submarine into a devastated city. It's time to survive and start a new life. Hopefully, this is where the film ends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to keep getting more fun videos like this. Thanks for watching.